Randy's Random Rants.
He was the charismatic pastor, and she was his faithful wife.
He developed a real nice relationship with this wonderful woman.
Along with their children, they formed a heavenly choir.
They all cared about one another, loved one another, and they all sang together.
But a horrifying discovery shattered this gospel-singing family's perfect harmony.
This story is so unbelievable that people think that this can't be the truth.
There was a shock and horror that such a thing would happen.
When investigators pry open this case, they uncover a crime of unspeakable depravity and the story of one God-fearing family's descent into pure evil.
Is this like a movie or something?
Who does that? How could that happen?
Monday, July 28, 2008. As the sun settles over the city of Mobile, Alabama, a team of police officers enters a nondescript bungalow located at 258 Ryland Street.
It was the homicide unit, an ID unit, our crime scene investigators. I had one other child advocacy detective that was with us.
It's down there to the left.
The officers are investigating a bizarre missing persons case, some 3 years in the making.
Did you say the last door on the left?
It's kind of a shotgun house. All the rooms are kind of off of one main hallway.
At the end of the hallway, there's an unlocked door, but officers can only partially open it.
Something's blocking that door. Stinks in here.
It was a freezer. You know, think of a chest freezer. I want to say maybe 3 feet long.
Officers find the freezer has been taped shut.
What do you think? We open it up?
Yeah, open it up.
All right.
Look in it, it's just a mass that was pumped over inside the freezer.
Officers shine a flashlight inside.
I'll never forget looking into the freezer. Everybody was shocked at what we found.
How did this body get here?
In my mind, I'm thinking, oh man, what do we do next?
To answer those questions, investigators will have to dig deep into the personal lives of two of Mobile's most God-fearing residents, Arletha and Anthony Hopkins. Hailing from Wadley, Georgia, Arletha Best grew up in a warm, loving home.
She always wanted to have a big family. She was also a Christian woman, and so she wanted to find someone who had her own faith and beliefs and also loved music.
But by her mid-20s, Arletha found herself divorced and raising 2 young children on her own.
Arletha's first marriage didn't last very long, but she did have 2 daughters by her first husband. But now she's single, she's raising 2 kids, and it's hard. She's struggling.
Then, one Sunday during church, Arletha laid eyes on the man who changed her life forever, a dashing soldier by the name of Anthony Hopkins.
Hi. Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
He was in the military. At some point in Georgia, they met in the church where they went.
Are these your 2 daughters?
They are. Say hello, girls.
Hey, how you doing?
Anthony shared Arletha's love of music and her devotion to God.
To Arletha, this is the perfect man to have as a partner. She finds someone who served his country, who's into God, who's into the church, who's into music.
They developed a relationship. They ended up getting married.
And all the blessings that you put on us, God. Amen.
Amen. All right, everybody, dig in.
As Anthony and Arletha's love for each other grew, so did their family. In addition to Arletha's 2 children from a previous relationship, the couple had 5 kids of their own.
She marries Anthony, and she thinks it's great. They expand on their family in addition to her 2 daughters, who become Anthony's stepdaughters. And they have a wonderful family relationship.
But one day, Anthony made a surprise announcement.
God is calling me. I've decided to become an interim preacher.
He decided he was going to pursue a preaching career.
He had a servant heart.
having a military background, and then been called into ministry.
But instead of enrolling in seminary, Anthony chose a different path.
For the Lord says, have no fear of sudden disaster or the ruin that overtakes the wicked.
He moved with ADOLPH to Alabama and became an itinerant preacher, standing out on the roadway, preaching to people.
We need to act now. Why would you do that? Why would you not help your neighbor out?
Needless to say, Anthony's approach was hard on the family finances, but Arletha never lost faith in her man.
He's not really making any money to support his family, so times are really tough. But Arletha wants to support him because she thinks and feels that he's doing God's work.
I was thinking that hopefully we could bring you aboard to one of our meetings.
The couple's faith ultimately paid off when Anthony was approached by a pastor who offered him a job and lodging at his church in Jackson, Alabama.
Preaching is my new call.
He became more popular with his ministry and was able to start making some money doing it.
Anthony's sermons soon became a hot commodity on Lower Alabama's evangelical preaching circuit.
Would preach on the weekends and on Wednesday nights at these different Pentecostal churches in the area. And he was quite popular.
As Anthony's stature in the evangelical community grew, so did his family's.
They settle in a church, and the family forms a gospel group called the Hopkins Ensemble. And they also travel and sing together while Anthony continues to preach.
They go sing in churches, and all the kids played instruments. Very musically oriented, very, very popular group.
And in 2004, Anthony and Arletha were blessed with more good news.
All of a sudden, 10 years into their marriage, they find out they're pregnant again with their 8th child.
But that's when tragedy struck. One Sunday, a tearful Anthony took to the pulpit at a local church and made a gut-wrenching announcement.
Brothers and sisters, today with great sadness, I have to report to you, Arletha has died.
When she gave birth, they went to Georgia. She died giving birth to that younger son, and he just buried her there in Georgia where her family was.
But I ask you to pray for our family.
People were absolutely devastated. Arletha had become such a beloved member of the church community.
But the loss of their matriarch wouldn't be the last tragedy to befall the Hopkins family. A series of mysterious events is about to play out that reveals a dark family secret and unleashes a scandal of near-biblical proportions. Traveling minister Anthony Hopkins and his loving wife Arletha are living a blessed life. But shortly after the birth of their 8th child, Anthony makes a shocking announcement. Arletha has passed away.
I ask for your comfort for my young daughters, for our family.
She died in childbirth, and he explains to them that they took her back to Georgia to bury her.
He's stuck with a house full of kids. You have to just pray and keep going.
Anthony is confident that through his faith and the support of his family, he'll survive the loss of his beloved Arletha.
It was a single father raising 8 kids on his own, and you see how talented they were, playing music and singing, and yet he was doing all this by himself, and everybody was amazed by it.
Now, Joe, let's get those troops ready. Let's go!
Thankfully, Anthony has help in the form of Arletha's oldest child,
All right, did everybody eat?
his stepdaughter, 16-year-old Chantel.
Formation. Come on, get in the right formation.
The oldest daughter steps into play of mother. She feed the kids, she clothe them, she help them with their schooling. She assumes that mother role.
Fast forward 3 years.
Yeah, well,
It's a brisk morning in the
we
winter
don't
of
like the
2008
way that
when
sounds
one of the Hopkins
already.
neighbors notices something strange.
We don't like the
Oldest
color
stepfather was out
purple
there,
sounding story here.
No shoes on.
What are you doing out here?
She
Well, the
took
neighbors started
the
walking down the street, said, "What's
16-year-old took the role of the mother.
I got in a fight with my dad.
She
Well.
took her in.
Here we go.
Tell me what's going on. What's wrong?
At first, The now 19-year-old is hesitant to say what's wrong, but as she becomes more comfortable, Chantel explains she's upset with her father.
This boy that I've been talking to called the house.
Young man had found interest in her, and she was upset because her dad got on the phone and said something to that young man, which drove him away from her.
Those things happen.
Oh.
The neighbor tells Chantel not to worry. That's when Chantel makes a startling confession.
I wonder what he said.
Oh, Chantel.
What Chantel says next practically
You better
floors her
stay
neighbor.
away from my booty.
My stepfather.
What?
This is crazy. This is just like
My psychic
unbelievable.
or what?
I mean, she's just, no, this couldn't happen. No, this couldn't happen. Anthony Hopkins is a preacher.
Psychologically, there's a whole lot, I think. Much she had to go through it. This was a great big burden on her. And she didn't seem like she wanted to tell it all, but she just wanted to get a little something off her chest.
Chantel, we've got to tell somebody. We've got to go to the police now.
No, we can't tell anybody.
And the daughter was like, well, I was always taught, if I say anything against my mother and my dad, God will curse me.
We can't go against my mother and father. It's a sin.
First of all, why is she talking like she's from fucking the
You gotta tell
Bronx or
somebody
Brooklyn?
the story other than me.
Sound
So
like
they
she's
decided
from New
to
York
talk
and
to
this is in the heart of
the
Alabama.
daughter's pastor.
But
Chantel's
anyway,
neighbor drives her to the church her family attends when her father isn't preaching. In the pastor's office, Chantel tells her story again. Only this time, she adds another, more horrific twist.
And I know that he has started sexually abusing my sister.
She felt that he was molesting her sister, the next to the oldest daughter, because of the way he would give her a certain look. Because he would give her that same look when he first started molesting with her.
But after listening to Chantel, the pastor rejects her story outright.
I've known him for over 15 years. There's a demon working in you.
Is Chantel telling the truth? Or are these accusations a way for a young woman to lash out against her stepfather?
She did not want her dad to be controlling the child like she had been controlled.
But Chantel isn't done telling her story. And what happens next will ultimately lead investigators to the freezer in that house on Ryland Street.
oh,
And a
no.
gruesome discovery, some 3 years in the making.
Wow. First off, I want to know how
3 years
Alabama,
after Aletha
you got
Hopkins
the
died
Ku
during
Klux
childbirth,
Klan,
the
you got a
family she
whole
left behind
history of
seems to be
people
thriving.
burning this.
But in
Birmingham
July
sounds
of
like
2008,
Burning Man.
a bizarre
That's
string of events
the
calls
the
into
main
question
city,
everything people
the
knew
capital
about
city
Aletha's
in
husband
their
Anthony
state.
and their family.
And they got a whole history
It
of
starts
killing
when a 19-year-old young
niggas.
woman enters the office of police
After
officer
going
Michael
through all of
Shavers.
that stuff, how do black people
Chantel.
do this type of
Chantel
shit to each other? I'm
she
sorry.
first came in
How
and sat
the
down,
fuck does it work like that?
started talking
Like
to
you
her,
ready to kill white people
she
for
was crying
lynching
at first.
niggas
Tears were
and
coming
sticking
to
them
her
in
eyes.
trees and
She was
hanging them by the
upset.
neck?
Okay,
And once you're not getting hung in a
She
fucking
had been
tree
having
by your
sex
neck,
with her father, and that it started when she was younger, probably 11 or 12 years of age.
this is what happens.
They were inside of a truck driving. He told her the story about Lot and his daughter, that they got him intoxicated and had sex with him, and more or less said, well, it's all right to have sex with your daughter because it's in the Bible.
It's unclear. Did the oldest daughter go to her mom and say, Mom, I'm being abused? Did she conceal it from her mother?
Apparently, Chantel's mother initially refused to believe the abuse was happening until she witnessed it with her own eyes.
Aletha! What are you doing? Aletha, she's upset.
That's my daughter!
They was in this church bathroom, and she just happened
In the
to walk
church
in.
bathroom?
She saw him feeling on her. They got into this big fight and argument.
Aletha, calm down.
That's my daughter! I saw you touching my daughter!
That's not what you saw.
Anthony vowed he would never touch Chantel again. But Chantel claims it wasn't long before her stepdad broke that vow.
The sex continued even though they were in counseling for it. That it slowed down for a period of time, but it still continued.
Calm down, baby, calm down.
It's a chilling story. But is it true? Corporal Shavers has his doubts.
This can't be true. You know, it's just too outrageous.
Is she trying to get back at him? Is she trying to get him in trouble? Or
Either way,
is this crazy story really the truth?
Either way, to me,
In order to determine if Chantel is telling the truth, Corporal Shavers
a
asks her a
teenage
few more
girl,
questions,
there's no reason why
starting
you
with
should
her
be
mother.
keeping that from your mother.
We didn't
I'm
know
sorry.
anything about Arletha other than she had died in 2004.
It's not like you're
So
like
more or less
2 and
closing up
3.
the interview,
I got
just asked her,
molested.
I said,
I
well,
didn't
tell me
tell
what happened to your
anybody,
mother.
but I was a
And she
fucking
tells him that
2,
my
3,
mom is
4-year-old kid.
And her father killed her mom.
Killed her.
16 years old. Like,
About 4 years ago.
Okay. What did you do with the body?
In a freezer in our house.
and so,
Okay.
does this mean that
Hold on
maybe
just a sec.
the girl you're
The
telling
story
the
sounds
police
too
this
bizarre to be
shit
true.
because
So
you're
Corporal
jealous
Shavers
that he's
reaches out to
screwing your
homicide
little
detective
sister
Kent
now?
Quinney.
Word.
Yeah, what's up, Sergeant? This young lady says her mother was killed by her father, and she's in the freezer. Say that again.
I reacted like, this can't be real. Maybe she's exaggerating a little bit to make her story seem more real, but that's a little far-fetched.
Of course, the story appears to be preposterous. This can't be. The abuse enough is something that would cause the police to be in disbelief, but a murder?
After speaking with Chantel, Detective Quinney does a little digging and quickly finds a more logical explanation for Arletha Hopkins' death.
Yes, Pastor Jones, Detective Quinney.
I talked to several preachers. One of the pastors that I interviewed said that the wife died in Georgia giving birth.
But there is one family friend who claims to have heard a much different account of what happened to Arletha.
She went out to California as a seamstress to work with movie stars or something to that effect.
Why would Pastor Hopkins provide two such wildly different accounts of what happened to his wife? Did Arletha die in childbirth, or has she moved to California? Hoping to get to the bottom of it, Detective Quinney gives Arletha's parents in Georgia a call.
They more or less told us that they had been isolated from Arletha. They had tried to call her, and every time they tried to call her, Anthony would say she can't come to the phone, or she's not here.
Let me
or
just
something
add
like
something
that.
else
In each
that's
of these
real
calls,
creepy.
Anthony never mentioned
This
Arletha
man's
moving
name
away
is
or
Anthony
dying in
Hopkins.
childbirth.
This family tried for
Like the
months
Anthony
to reach
Hopkins
out
that
to
shot
her
his
daughter,
wife
to
in
her
the
sister,
in the
and couldn't get her, and I think they
in the
eventually gave up
movies,
and
the
just thought
actor.
she doesn't want anything
I
to do
mean,
with
it's
us.
a movie, but he shot
These
his
accounts
wife.
of what happened to Arletha certainly raised some red flags.
And then
In order to
Anthony
get to the
Hopkins
bottom
also
of what really
plays
happened, Detective Quinney circles back to Chantel and her
the Silence
astonishing
of the
claim.
Lambs sicko killer.
Made the story up.
And this
The
nigga
hype her
right here
molestation
is
story. But of
worse
course we gotta go over there.
than that
and check it
psycho
out
sicko.
anyway.
That afternoon, Detective Quinney and a team of officers head to the Hopkins residence, hoping to speak with the pastor and, if need be, search the house. But not even the most seasoned investigator is prepared for what awaits law enforcement inside the Hopkins home.
Boy.
According to a study by the U.S. Justice Department, sexual assault is one of the most underreported crimes. It is estimated that 60% of rapes are never reported to law enforcement. Police in Mobile, Alabama are investigating startling allegations against Pastor Anthony Hopkins. His 19-year-old stepdaughter Chantel claims the pastor has been sexually assaulting her, and that she is now pregnant with his child.
She drops this bombshell. She's making accusations about things that have taken place over the course of several years. And the first question is, if this is true,
Well, you know
how did
my
all of this
official
go
hashtag
undetected?
stamp, right?
But Chantel's sexual assault claim is trumped by an even
I
more
hope you
jaw-dropping
know
allegation.
what they're doing
That
to
Pastor
that booty.
Hopkins murdered his wife, Chantel's mother, Arletha.
Right now.
Killed her.
Yes.
And has been storing her body in the family freezer for over 3 years.
You don't think of things like this happening in Mobile,
Whoa.
Alabama. You know, it's just something you see on TV. It's just like a movie or something.
Investigators hope to question the pastor about these allegations. But when they arrive at his house, Pastor Hopkins isn't home. But Chantel lets them in and leads them to a utility room near the back of the house.
It's right down there to the left.
Something blocking that door.
Once you open that door, the freezer sits behind the door. You can't open the door fully. You had a slight stench, not a strong one, but a slight stench. And then the flies started gathering. Thoughts in my mind's like, oh my God, it's real. She's telling the truth.
CSIs cut the tape and slowly open the lid on the freezer.
They had the freezer open, and y'all, you could see was the edge of a hand with 2 fingers.
Wow, you gotta be
The rest
fucking
was just a
kidding
big
me.
ball and sheets.
They learned that the story that they were being told by the stepdaughter was not in fact a story, it was reality.
A forensic team is called in to examine the body. But
Now
there's
you
not
want
much
to
they
talk
can do
about
until it thaws.
human possession by
They
demons?
had to get a hand truck and
There
wheel the
you go.
freezer out and then take it to the lab and figure out how they were going to take the next step.
As the freezer is transported to the lab, investigators race to find Anthony Hopkins.
At that point, it becomes a, let's find him, find out where he's at. That becomes our focus.
This nigga's so
But
weird.
finding Pastor Hopkins is
Burning-
easier said than done.
Burning
According to
bugs and
Chantel, her father left
fucking-
town to preach earlier that day.
The stepdaughter ended up telling us that the vehicle that he was driving was actually
That nigga's
purchased
having
from one
a
of these
satanic
companies that sell
seance
cars that
somewhere
put
by
GPS
himself.
locators on
And he's
the
a preacher.
vehicles.
Like, that shit
Investigators
is
contact
insane.
the dealership to obtain
Yo.
the vehicle's GPS coordinates.
Wow.
They also run a test to determine if Chantel is telling the truth about her pregnancy.
If she's telling the truth that her father is the father of her child, there's probably truth to the rest of her story. That her mother was killed.
But it will take several days for the results of the paternity test to come back.
Whoa.
In the meantime, investigators turn to Chantel to
That's
find
like
out just
that's
what
like
happened to
taking
her
a
mother.
bath, and if you could
Chantel
turn your
tells them that
bath
in
water
December
on and have
2004,
pure evil
just
pour
weeks
out of
after
it.
her mom gave birth to the family's 8th child, her parents got into a heated argument.
I know you've been touching Chantel. Yes, you have. Whatever started that fight that night, it had to do with her daughter and the fact that her daughter was being raped. I'll call the police. Get out of my house. I ain't going nowhere. Get out of my house.
She threw him out of the house and locked all the doors and told him he's not coming back tonight.
And this is Alabama? Damn.
Chantel.
This nigga is
Chantel claims that
crazy.
later that evening, she heard a tapping on her bedroom window.
What are you doing outside?
Anthony Hopkins knocking on the window. And when she went to the window, he said, let me in my bedroom.
Why didn't you go to the front?
She kicked me out.
Pastor Hopkins convinced Chantel to let him in. But Arletha overheard the exchange.
Chantel, did you let him in?
And she recognizes
Oh,
Anthony's
hell
voice.
no.
And she bangs on the door telling him, come out of there, come out of there.
Open up this door.
According to Chantel,
What?
another fight ensued.
What are you doing here? Shut up. Shut up. Get in there. You have to leave. I don't have to do nothing.
Push
You mean to
Alita's
tell
into
me
her
that this
room
girl
where the
don't
kids
know
hear a bunch of
nothing
arguing
about what's
and
going
a
on
bunch of
and lets
knocking
him
around,
in the house through the
screaming
fucking
for help.
window?
Call the police, call the police.
I
He's trying
can't.
to kill
I'm
me.
sorry. I just can't believe that.
Chantel claims she ran into the room to break up the fight.
What are you doing?
She sees Anthony over Aletha's head, and her feet was kicking back and forth like she was trying to get air.
All of a sudden, the pleas and the cries are silenced.
So you're sitting here
Moments later,
screwing your mother's
Chantel's father emerged from
husband.
the bedroom and asked Chantel to help him do the unthinkable.
Come on. Go help me bury your mama.
Until
They
this
take
happens.
them an hour or so north to Jackson, Alabama, and they dig a hole behind one of the churches where he preached.
Chantel says at
Oh,
that point
no.
she and her stepdad rolled her mother into a shallow grave.
I feel like
But
turning
a few
this
days
off. Like
later,
we don't.
the
None of
pastor
us
started
need
having
to
second
see
thoughts.
this.
Chantel,
None of us
gonna need your
need
help
to be
again.
exposed
God
to
wants your
this
mother to be with us.
demonstration and this exhibition
She
of.
had obeyed her dad so long and did things that were so unusual until she just followed the pattern. She developed a pattern of obeying him, and that's what she did.
Once they get
Do
there,
you believe
her body
that?
had
Do these people
loaded
believe that?
at this time, and it broke the dirt off the
So
ground
she.
where was
So we're
coming
saying
up.
that she's a
So he
victim
digs her
now.
back up
Like she's the
to bring her
victim.
back to Mobile.
You're screwing your mother's man. You
When
never
Anthony
told her.
and Chantel returned home, Anthony directed Chantel
He
to the
choked
utility
your
room
mom in
and the
front of your
freezer he had
face.
recently purchased.
As the daughter described it, Marletha wasn't a really small woman.
You
She did
dug
fit
a
in the
hole
freezer, and
with
Anthony
him.
Hopkins actually jumped on her body to make her fit.
this is what God want her, okay? It'll be alright. She's home now.
Wow. So they stuffed the inside of the
think
refrigerator.
the control of the children was exactly
And like
what
a
he
cartoon character, you
And
could
his
picture
wife
him
would not-
jumping
would not
on top of
accept she would not
the
accept
door to
it.
close
She
it
had to go.
because her body wouldn't fit
But
in the
investigators
freezer.
are thrown for a loop
And this
when they
girl
receive the
watched
results of
and
the
saw
autopsy
all of
report.
this shit.
Forensic doctor wasn't able to determine what the cause of death was.
And the lady
because
was
of
in
the
there
way
for
she
how
was
long?
deteriorating when she finally defrosted.
The forensic report is a setback, but it doesn't slow the detectives down for long.
Oh
The
no.
investigators are moving full speed ahead. They're going to get the results of the paternity test, and then they need to find this pastor because they want to question him.
Question
But
him.
bringing Pastor Anthony Hopkins to
Question?
justice will prove trickier than investigators ever
People
imagined.
lucky as hell I ain't no fucking judge or law enforcement agent. What? Yo, I'm
Pastor
telling
Anthony
you.
Hopkins and his
Listen.
wife seem to have a picture-perfect, God-fearing family. But that facade comes crashing down in horrific fashion when their daughter Chantel comes forward with a shocking story of
Yeah.
incest, rape, and murder.
People are stunned as this story begins to unravel. It's the pastor. It's his wife. It just defies logic in everyone's mind.
And I'm
that this
sorry for
family
everybody
could be
that
holding these
lives down
secrets
south,
buried for
even
so
though
many years.
there's people up here, there's
After
people
finding
everywhere
Marletha's
that
body
do this
in
shit,
a
but
freezer inside
you
the
wanna
Hopkins
wonder why
utility
down
closet,
south has
authorities were now
the
desperately
name and the
trying to
category
locate
of
Anthony
being
Hopkins.
The oldest
ancestral
story about
ancestors
that
and
they,
shit.
purchased a car, one of those car lots that keeps a tracking device on it. You know, if you don't make
Don't
your
wonder
payment,
why.
they're able to shut
Just
it off.
watch this
Come and
fucking
repossess
video
it.
right here.
One of the other investigators ended up calling and getting a number to someone that owned that lot, evidently, and they ended up pulling the GPS information up off his home computer.
The GPS traces the vehicle to a church in the rural town of Jackson, Alabama.
We walked into the front door, and what I realized it was a foyer. There was another set of doors that led into the sanctuary. So we were able to look through the doors, and when I first saw him through the doors, he was standing in front of the congregation. He was preaching the corpse.
Brothers and sisters, today's our sermon is about forgiveness.
I made entry into the church, and then all of a sudden he stopped preaching and it got real quiet. And everybody in the church was watching me. And I approached him, and when I asked, was he Anthony Hopkins? He said, yes, I am. Immediately I put him down and put cuffs on him.
Oh,
Sir, what
did
is
you?
it? What is this about?
He said,
As was
I hope you
patting
put
him
him in
down,
a
he was
headlock
continuing to ask me, you know, what
or
was
an
this
arm
about?
bar.
What kind of travesty is this?
The more he asked me, the
He
more
said
frustrated he got.
travesty.
After about the third or fourth time, I said,
Jesse's got something to do with that body in the freezer. Put your hands behind your back.
talking about? I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. Let me go. I didn't do anything.
Officers transport Anthony to the
Wow.
Mobile Police Department, where detectives attempt
Everybody
to interview
in
him.
church, they
We
just
were gonna
got to
try
see a
talk to him,
demon
but he
get
had already lawyered up at
drugged
that
out of
point in
their
time.
fucking
He said that
church
he didn't want to talk.
Anthony's
by
lack
the
of
legs and
cooperation is
feet.
problematic for another
Wow.
reason. Despite finding Arletha's body inside a freezer in their home, investigators are having trouble piecing together evidence that fully supports Chantel's story.
They could not prove that this was a murder case because of the state of the body. Too much time has passed away. and there's no proof that Anthony caused any intentional act to cause her death.
What are you
Further
talking
complicating
about?
matters is the fact that Chantel's sister Tasha
not getting
contradicts nearly everything about
They
Chantel's
found the
story
woman
when
in a
police take
freezer
her
and
formal
they
statement.
said they can't find no evidence.
About everything.
Yo.
And she pretty much denies.
This is
anything going on
Alabama.
between her and her father at that point in time.
They can't find no evidence with a lady stuffed in a fucking
Detectives
freezer.
uncover a crucial piece of evidence.
Whoa. I'm not moving down to Alabama ever. I got family down there. God bless you guys.
Oldest daughter, she wanted a closer relationship with God and wanted to have a better relationship with her father without having sex with him.
That doesn't make
journal
sense.
tells a different tale. A tale of a person who internalized what was happening to her.
That doesn't
was her
make
way of
sense. You want to
expressing it
have
by
a
putting it
better
in the journal
relationship
and, of
with your
course,
father
corroborating
without
the story
having sex
of
with
the
him?
older daughter
Was this
about the
before or
visual
after he killed your mom? Like,
But
yo,
Tasha's journal isn't the
the
only piece
fuck?
of evidence
What?
that bolsters Chantel's
What?
statement. The
Hold
paternity
on.
test results are back.
What?
They confirm Pastor Anthony Hopkins is the father of Chantel's unborn baby.
No denial that they were having sexual relations because the 19-year-old was pregnant at the time, and the DNA results show later that it was Anthony's child.
The Hopkins children are placed in the custody of Child and Family Services. And Pastor Hopkins is placed in county lockup.
He was charged with murder, rape second, sodomy second, and incest.
When we find out
Sodomy
this
second.
happened in our community,
Sodomy
man, it
second.
just devastated everything.
I don't even want to talk
Young
nasty
men
right
in the
now.
ministry
For
are
real.
so-called
And
being a Christian
making jokes and
makes
shit.
this worse.
Sodomy in the second.
On April 6,
What, like,
2010,
huh?
Pastor Hopkins' trial begins.
Look at him.
Anthony Hopkins,
Look like a snake.
using his vocation as a pastor, manipulated, planned, and controlled to rape Chantel.
He didn't mind using the Bible and manipulating and mischaracterizing the Bible to even justify his relationship or his raping of his daughter.
In addition, to murder his wife.
The prosecutors, they were trying to make it out to be a monster.
As for a motive for these heinous crimes, prosecutors argue this case boils down to one thing: control.
He was their God. He was their provider, and he had.
Where did they come up with the? How do they calculate all of the things that they come up with and shit?
According to prosecutors, once Arletha discovered the dark truth about her husband, she threatened to turn him in. In response, Anthony decided to take her
Control?
life.
Word.
Arletha and Anthony
And then like the
fighting
experts,
for
they'll be
quite
like,
some
yeah,
time
most rapes they're
her daughter.
usually
And
out of
basically Arletha had walked in and
control.
caught
People
Anthony
want
Hopkins
control. Like
molesting
what?
her
Like,
daughter.
man,
Perhaps she
what's wrong
threatened
with
to go
you?
to police, and he shut her up.
Call the cops, I'm gonna kill you. You ain't going nowhere.
Not all rapists' dicks get hard off of control.
Prosecutors then called the state's medical examiner to the stand. In grim detail, the ME recounts the discovery of Arletha's body.
It appears that it went through several temperature changes or fluctuations potentially. It may have thawed some and then refroze.
Of all of the autopsy photos that I've seen,
That's
none of them stand
just-
out to me like this one did.
That's just sick.
As powerful as it is, the medical examiner's testimony presents the defense with an opportunity.
Man.
The body's been frozen for almost 4 years.
An innocent woman.
Is there any signs of bone trauma?
Like, who the fuck deserves
Why
anything
you say
like
it's
that?
homicide? What about ligatures where there's, marks like
Yo.
strangulation or something?
And
like
these
that?
women,
Not that we
women,
were
like
able to
y'all be
determine.
swearing, like
Can't
you
rule
be
out
swearing
that she
among with, man. Or
Having
I
scored
hope,
big in their
but I hope
cross-examination
for
of
your
the
sake.
ME, the defense takes a gamble and calls Pastor Anthony Hopkins to the stand.
So raise your right hand.
My jaw dropped. In all the murder cases I've covered, I don't think there's another defendant here locally that's taken a stand.
When he took the stand, everybody leaned forward. They wanted to hear what he had to say. We had a packed courtroom, and everybody started listening.
After being sworn in, Pastor Hopkins tells the court how much he loved Arletha
Arletha was fantastic. She was my angel. I loved her.
and how his faith allowed him to persevere even after
He
his
just, he
wife's tragic
seems
death.
like
I would never hurt her.
arrogant,
It's a family man. Kids
obnoxious,
love him. There's more to the story than what the DA is saying.
and too
Pastor
sure
Hopkins
of
also
himself.
informs the jury of something most folks didn't know about Arletha: her poor health.
The lady was overweight, had diabetic problems, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, did not take care of her diet. Ate a
So
lot of fried
that's the
foods.
reason why you put her in the
Sedentary
freezer then, huh?
lifestyle.
Well, what was the cause of her inexplicable death?
It was her health.
According to Pastor Hopkins, health problems claimed Arletha's life in December of 2004.
He left, came
Makes
back. She
perfect
was
sense why you
laying
take
on
a
the
person with
floor and he tried
what,
to
diabetes and stuff them in a
help her,
fucking
and
freezer
she was
in your
dead.
house.
He doesn't know what caused her to die. He doesn't know if there was a heart attack, blood pressure.
But why the freezer?
God told me that He wanted her near me, and
Oh,
I wanted her near
there
me.
we go.
Also, I couldn't stand
God
without
doesn't
Arletha.
talk to people.
I loved her.
Lock them up.
He said that if he had called 911, then the
Where,
family would
where's
have
the
been
gavel at?
He said that for the
Put
good
him
of
in
the family,
cuffs.
he had to just
We
hire
don't want to hear no more. God said what? Okay.
You know you're accused of
Time
rape
to
as
go.
well.
As for the rape charges, Pastor Hopkins admits to sleeping with his stepdaughter, Chantel. But he
God-
tells the jury their relationship didn't begin until Chantel
Where does
was
God
16,
come in
the
there?
legal age of consent in the state of Alabama.
I'm absolutely sure. I never raped anybody.
He described a night that he said she essentially seduced him, is how he said it, happened.
His wife had been dead for 2 to 3 years, and he hadn't been with a woman, and then his daughter walks in there in this chocolate negligee, and his emotions took over.
So
One thing led to another. She came on to me.
Folks in the court can't decide if the pastor's testimony is heartfelt or just
He
plain
re-
disturbing.
he refurbished
Either way,
the story
it appears
of,
to have sown the seeds of reasonable doubt
who
with the
was it
jury.
in the Bible?
He manipulated this family for so long, he felt that he could manipulate the jury.
His daughters had sex with him while he was drunk.
But just when it seems the case is
Oh,
tilted
man,
in the
yeah, he
defense's
looks like a
favor,
serpent.
The state
Oh,
calls a
no.
star witness of
Yeah.
their own. One who will spell out
Man,
in
we can't
no
trust
uncertain
anybody that
terms
looks like
what a
that
monster
anymore.
Pastor
He
Hopkins
just fucked it up for
truly is.
everybody that looks like that, didn't he? Shit.
After Pastor Anthony Hopkins' gripping
Oh, I
turn
thought
on
he
the
was
witness
about to
stand,
give him a
it
high
appears the
five or
victim in
something.
his murder
Like,
trial has
all
swung
right.
toward the defense. But no sooner
We're
has he
with
left
you,
the
man.
stand than prosecutors call their own surprise witness, Hopkins' stepdaughter, Chantel.
She was very emotional. We had to take breaks for her to gather herself.
Nah, I don't want to hear
Chantel
none of that if
carefully
I was the
recounts for the
judge.
jury the countless sexual assaults she endured
You
at the
guys are
hands of her
lucky I'm not a
stepfather.
judge, bro.
Started when I was 11. We would have sexual relations.
Was the relationship with the defendant and yourself consensual?
See, just to make it clear, it like, you know what I'm saying? People got questions and want to analyze and be analytical and shit. Like, you dealing with a motherfucker right here that's been molested as a child. You heard? Know what it's like to get them demons out of you?
Chantel, shifting gears a little
Right?
bit, how does this relate
So,
to your mother's
a
demise,
teenage
her
person
murder?
or older,
She found out
you don't
what we were
lie
doing.
in the realms of where I'm at in
confronted
mentality and
Her
dealing
testimony
with the
was so
situation. It's not the
that it
same
had
shit.
Members in the
Just
jury
know
crying.
that.
Just had everybody crying. And even the defense was crying.
It got emotional, yes. It did.
In the end, Chantel's testimony proves to be the deciding factor. On April 9, 2010, the jury finds Pastor Anthony Hopkins guilty of murder, rape, sodomy, incest, and sexual abuse of a minor.
Guilty on all counts.
People were happy that justice was served. These kids could somehow put the pieces of their life back together and try to move on.
They can't get
The judge
pieces of their
sentences
life
the pastor
together.
to life in prison,
Even if he didn't
plus
touch any
51
of them,
years.
the stuff, the mental stuff that they gotta go
But
through.
even with Pastor Hopkins
And the
behind
older that
bars,
they get,
the fallout from his heinous
he
crimes
just
continues to
created
reverberate.
a whole storm. Like that's how many people. Everybody has different personalities, characteristics. That's over 5 people right there, lives that he destroyed.
Perhaps the
For real.
saddest fact of all is that Arletha's longing for a godly man, a soulmate to be with
And
through
that
all
right
eternity,
there, like,
would
who
one day cost
deserves
her her
that
life
shit?
and ruin countless others.
It defies human comprehension.
Man,
it
God
defies
bless
logic.
that woman.
It defies
Rest in
decency
peace.
and humanity.
Man.
And particularly when it comes from a person of God, it's just sad, it's stomach turning, and in fact, it's disgusting.
This
People
video
have
was
to
made
live with the
a
consequences
day after the
of
memorial.
these crimes, and it reverberates throughout the community. In this particular instance, not only was the immediate family affected, the church family was affected, the community and the neighborhood was affected.
He didn't shake my faith in God.
Everybody that watches this damn video or hears this sick ass story is affected. But the shit that I can guarantee all of you, when you wake up in the morning tomorrow, you could know that this nigga's ass is getting dealt with in the worst way. I would like to take this time to formally address the numbskull. I don't know if it's a male or a female, but the numbskull that does not have obviously any self-esteem, pride, maybe self-worth or something, that you, I mean, what is this now? YouTube jacking? Cyber jacking? Like, this video that I'm doing right now, I said that I was going to do it in one of my previous posts. And then I go and run through the internet and I see that somebody already posted the video that I said I was going to post. And it's nothing, but I mean, you obviously have no originality to you, no substance, no nothing. Like, I mean, seriously, like, you're gonna do what? Like, go and try and pop off on YouTube or social media by what? Ripping people's ideas off? Get freaking, I was about to say carjacking, cyberjacking people for their fucking ideas. I mean, for real, like, you have no knowledge of graphics, no knowledge of advertising, no knowledge of design, no knowledge of what the fuck you're doing at all. Like, I mean, the video looks decent, but I mean, bro, like, come on. Like, there's no substance to it. Like, anybody could fucking post something and, like, make a fucking screenshot or something, or draw a fucking picture to fucking go along with their damn video. Like, bro, or chick, whichever, whatever you are, man. Like, please do not be taunting me and following me on my my sites and my networks and trying to freaking cyberjack my fucking ideas, bro. Come with your own shit with this. Know what I'm saying? With anything, come with your own shit, man. Know what I'm saying? There's too many motherfuckers out here that ain't fucking original, and you want to be another fucking creep for what? To get a couple of 1,000 views or a couple of 100 views or 1, 2 views. I mean, and then you got to keep it up. Like, you're not doing shit. Like, seriously, man. Like, get the fuck off of my shit, man. I'm serious. And it was my mistake for even saying what the fuck I was gonna do. Know what I mean? Bunch of fucking idiots, bozos. I'm telling you. You need to go find yourself a new fucking hobby, cause your shit fucking sucks. Word. Like, I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do? You gonna take what I lay out, you gonna take my layout and use it for a blueprint for your shit, nigga? Like, you fucking idiots. Like, I'm serious, man. Whatever you do, be original, man. Word. Let me have my stuff. Let everybody have their own shit. Come with your own shit, motherfucker. I mean, tell me. What is this? Do you plan on, like, using my platform for blueprint for your brain? Did that make sense? Huh?